I'm recording this on Thursday, so it's been a week since the 2024 NFL draft, the first round. And, I intended to make this video earlier this week, but, it's better late than never. Now, we don't know how these players will pan out, but I do like going back and looking at, my favorite classes, ones that stood out. And I have five that really caught my eye from last weekend in Detroit. Starting with the Los Angeles Chargers, people thought it would have been Malik Neighbors at number 5, but Jim Harbaugh, he likes to build his teams certain ways. He likes establishing, those trenches first, and he views offensive linemen as weapons, and I 100% agree with that. You also have to protect your $262 million investment in Justin Herbert. And, pairing Joe Alt with Rashawn Slater, that gives them an elite tackle duo. And they didn't ignore wide receiver. Ladd McConkey is a terrific route runner and someone that, I watched and covered Mizzou. He's one of those guys that kind of irritates you because, he's so good and he doesn't, play for the team that you like. But also Junior Colson and Cam Hart and Kamani Vidal, those are also great additions in the later rounds. I thought Vidal and Hart would be good for my Minnesota Vikings to get, but, ended up going to the Chargers. So overall, I'm impressed, with Harbaugh's first draft in LA. Roseman, he did it again in the first couple rounds of the NFL draft. I thought Philadelphia would beef up the trenches and go offensive line and trade up. But, their pass defense was atrocious last year. So they went up and beefed up the secondary by not only adding Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, but you didn't expect Cooper DeJean, slide into the second round. And they went there and got him. That's two fresh young players in the quarterback room. I expect Mitchell to play outside and DeJean in the inside. But, two great young prospects. Add some youth in that secondary once again because, Darius Slay and James Bradbury, they're 33 and 30. They're getting up there in age. So just an excellent first two rounds for the Philadelphia. Staying in the Keystone State, I'm sure that is what they call it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, how about Pittsburgh? The Steel Cities football team, like with LA. I liked it. They attacked the offensive line. They added Troy Fatanu. They also got Zach Frazier and South Dakota State's Christian McCormick. Three good offensive line prospects. They also bolstered that receiver room by adding Roman Wilson, sliding in there with George Pickens and Van Jefferson. I expect him to contribute also. On the defensive side, we have talked about Peyton Wilson, who had a strong case to be drafted higher due to his athleticism, but those injury concerns kind of drove down his draft stock. But overall, this is kind of, I don't know how to describe, would it be gritty and athletic draft class? It's just something that I really love with Pittsburgh. Call me biased, but I don't really care. And I think I've said this in other videos, but the way that Minnesota drafted in day one, the way the board fell for them, automatically made them winners in the first round of the NFL draft. The goal for them was to come out with one of these top quarterbacks, and the big talking point of it was how much was it going to cost to get up there to get one. It didn't cost them that much in the end. You only moved up one spot to 10 to get J.J. McCarthy, who I really like, and you kept the 23rd pick, which you used to trade up to get Dallas Turner, just an absolute monster, edge rusher out of Alabama. And you also keep the 2025 first. So, you get your franchise quarterback, you get a big impact player on defense, and I really liked it. Go back and look at my other videos. I kind of like what they did in day 3 because they didn't have a second or third round pick as well. But I will say this again: they had to go in there and get a quarterback. They came out with one and got another really, really good player in the process. And lastly, how about the Los Angeles Rams? They reshaped their entire defensive line. They lost Aaron Donald, but they add Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk with their first couple picks in the draft, so are likely going to start and make an impact early. The Rams are also top half in the NFL last year in rushing offense for Kyren Williams, but they added to that room with Blake Corum out of Michigan as well. So I think really those first 3 picks will be instant contributors. And I also like to mention that, I like what Chicago did, getting Romo Dunze, there at number 9, and it's a smart thing to do, pairing him with Caleb Williams as well. And, beyond Washington's first round, I like Jayden Daniels. I think that's a great pick. He's good, of course. But, I was also a fan of Jerzon Newton, Ben Sinnott. I saw him when he played with Kansas State when they came and played Mizzou, and also Luke McCaffrey. So if I had to expand, the list of 7 teams, I would add those 2 as well, Chicago and Washington. But, overall, that's that's what I got. Those are the classes that kind of really stood out to me from this past year's draft.